Okay, there we go.
There we go. Awesome.
All right, so good. So we're going to break down this talk. Here's my agenda. I'm just going to touch on 4 major topics: the seed as a source of nutrition and its benefits from a historical perspective. I think that's going to shed some light on why this is very important. What are the nutritional benefits contained within the seeds themselves? And we're going to look and see if try and answer the question, can the world really benefit from seed nutrition, and why rain? So from this, throughout history, we've seen, and this is just a National Geographic book talk, where they look at how little seeds shape human history in big ways. And just from this quote from the book, there are many books written, on seed nutrition, and you can see here that they talk about the fierce energy of an acorn, right? When you plant an acorn, it explodes into a giant oak. Just as one example of what is inside of a seed. How does it go from a tiny seed into a giant oak? And here's the example: the power inside seeds, where you take this one little seed that it takes years, sometimes protects itself from the environment, but inside of the seed contains massive amount of nutrients that when it connects with nature, it actually forms a massive tree, in this case, the oak tree. And the oak tree can live for 400 to 600 years. So imagine, just from one seed, look at the power contained inside of the seed. And this is just from a historical perspective. Take something now as small as what we eat every day, an apple a day. When you look at the seeds in that apple, if you can find it, it's so tiny. But again, the same phenomenon holds true for every single plant that have a seed. That seed connects with nature and grows into a big tree, leaves, flowers, and then it makes hundreds of apples. And those apples inside have seeds now, thousands of seeds. But not just that. Now we go on to apple tree can live anywhere from 40 to 60 years old, sometimes up to 80 years old. So again, every year it's making thousands and thousands just from one seed. So it's just remarkable, the power of seeds. And here's another example to drive it home from grapes, a tiny, tiny little grape seed. What it contains, everything. And you can see here, first day, 14 days, and 26, 1 year, you already have hundreds and hundreds of seeds on that vine from one seed. So the power is definitely there, but this goes back historically to even biblical days. In Genesis 1, chapter 29, and God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is all over the earth." And so those seeds have followed us for thousands and thousands of years and provide nutrition for us even to this day. And many, many paintings, carvings, statues have shown pictures historically where health is associated with planting your own garden. And today, a lot of people plant their own garden in order to reap the benefits of just planting a seed and you get that tomato plant, etc. So this is historic for us. Look here at the 7 things you didn't know about black seed oil on this website. And again, looking from a historic perspective, from Egypt to in Muslim, in Aduveric times, all throughout history, even Hippocrates, the father of medicine, used the black cumin oil as part of medicine. And you can see here, he mentioned it as cure all. Now, I'm going to go over that as a scientist. Let's look at that in detail and see, could this seed, cumin oil, really cure all? Like, what does that mean to cure all? They've used it for everything historically. But now today, moving forward with all the science and technology, we can break that down into what exactly it can be used for. Again, this is 2019, looking at some constituents of the black seed as an example. And again, they even said the Prophet Muhammad, back to biblical days, Hippocrates, the surgeons, medicine, it's used. And look at some of the uses: anti-cancer, anti-diabetic. Sounds like a lot of things that we see today that's increasing in the world of non-communicable diseases. So that was my little brief history. Don't want to be a big historian here. All right, what are some of the nutritional benefits contained in the seed? So this is BBC basically showing that nutrition, powerhouse, that they're telling us, encouraging us that we should eat more seed. Definitely. Cleveland Clinic Foundation, which not just United States, but all over the world now, again, one of the premier health institutions, is basically advocating to incorporate seeds into a healthy diet. So we're getting it from all different institutions. Even Harvard posted that we should put anti-inflammatory foods in our menu. So they're giving us the messages. It's coming out one by one. So what exactly are the benefits of seed? Let's just take some examples, some common examples, stuff that you go into your grocery store and you're going to see. So let's look at things like chia seeds. Chia seeds, low antioxidant. I mean, it helps to decrease inflammation by having antioxidants, right? Antioxidants helps to prevent like almost rusting off inside the body. We are filled with inflammation. For those of you who saw my my talk in Las Vegas in this inflammation age, excellent for diabetes. Diabetes, pre-diabetes in the United States is more than 80 million people have pre-diabetes. So again, excellent for diabetes, good for your heart. I'm a heart surgeon, right? So this attracted my attention. This aligned with, if people can eat well and eat these seeds, clearly we can have massive amount of benefits. And this in almost all the seeds. Good for blood pressure, antioxidant, anti-cancer. Look at that. It can control cholesterol. Instead of using medications, if patients, the population, can use these medications before it becomes a real pathologic problem, this is really where the field is going, I think, in the future. Again, weight loss, there's a lot of, as I'll show you later on, increase in, obesity worldwide. And again, some of the good omega-3 fatty acids are what people are looking for. And again, cancer is the second leading cause of death. So again, the same theme and all the seeds out there bring you a lot of health benefits, from diabetes to high blood pressure. Let's focus in on just one seed. This is 2022, looking at the health benefits and using more from an evidence-based perspective. Are there clinical trials? Well, let's start with this flax seed, which is a very common seed, and you will see that in some of Rain products. Again, clearly, heart disease is the leading cause of death. I mean, this is what I see in my practice. But look at this, 2016, 15 studies published looking at blood pressure, and it showed that it can actually improve blood pressure. I mean, that's great, because high blood pressure is one of the leading causes of leading to cardiovascular disease. When you look at cholesterol levels, imagine just by taking flaxseed in certain amounts, it showed that not only lowering the bad cholesterol, but also making the good cholesterol even better. And preventing strokes. For those of you who have stroke in your family, that's a combination of hypertension, diabetes, everything combined. What they also found was look at some of the digestive benefits. And not just cancer, but they showed here that it's actually breast cancer had the most, one of the benefits was seen in breast cancer a lot. And so again, that's the most common cancer seen in women today is breast cancer. Very high incidence. Again, diabetes, pre-diabetes is plaguing the world and expected to rise. And so if we can use our diet to improve things like pre-diabetes, you can see in this study it was shown, and also in weight management. So all of these studies looking at real patients, real data, and we're living in the information age, so we're able to get all of this. One of the foundational seeds that's used by Rain is the black cumin seed. And I showed you historically how it's been used in ancient times. But again, this is a almost 80-page review, and I'm not going to go through 80 pages. I'm just going to go through 5 slides just to show you that the publication since 20 years ago, COVID, it took a dip because no work was done during that time. But you can see an incremental increase in interest in the black cumin seed over the last 2 decades. And clearly, you can see that a lot of it is articles, review that came out of it. But most importantly, look at the different industries that are involved with this black cumin seed. Not just medicine, 20% medicine, but also pharmacology, looking for new chemicals inside of the seed that they can use as a drug to treat. Also, biochemistry is involved, engineering, agriculture, chemistry, and so a lot of the major industries are involved in looking at the black cumin seed. So back to that phrase, is it really a cure-all? Well, look at all the different areas that they actually see in industries looking at the black cumin seed. So for antioxidant effect, anti-inflammatory effect, anti-cancer effect, right? Anti-diabetes, for me, cardioprotective for the heart. So there's massive amount. You can see gastroprotective, nephroprotective, kidney failure, pulmonary lung failure, liver failure. It's basically everywhere. So it's really cure-all. So Hippocrates and all of these great great philosophers basically were onto something. And this is thousands of years ago. Again, the chemicals, just to show you how complex the chemicals that we can recognize inside of the black cumin seed in this review is just enormous amount of chemicals put by Mother Nature in the right amount, in the right ratio to give the best results is what we've seen for decades. And they've looked at all the different molecular pathways and come up with explaining how come this seed can be used as a anti-cancer drug, how can it be used as an anti-inflammatory drug. I'm not going to go to the details of this. This is what I'm obsessed about most of the times. But this is just a breakdown right here, a summary of using science and looking at all the molecular pathways, and they have found that depending on each of the studies, each of what clinical model that they're using, you can see that it's actually important in liver protection, kidney protection, arthritis, anti-cancer, bone regeneration. It's very everywhere. Heart is what I'm concerned of, neuroprotective, diabetic, anti-diabetic. So basically, this sounds like a real superfood. And so I think that's exactly what it is. It's a superfood. It's a super seed. So look at this comprehensive review 2021, looking at comprehensive review in food science and food safety. And so they basically put black cumin seed as a specialty seed. It's called a specialty seed. And look at the first line of the abstract. That basically covers my entire history that I just gave you. Seeds play an important role in human nutrition and health science since ancient times. And now we're in 2021. So clearly, all the seeds play some role. The black cumin seed stand out over all the others, as I showed you in the history, and promising health benefits, okay? The health cumin seed is not like a lot of health food and drive-thrus that we see today that was invented in the last 50 years. This has been around for thousands of years to emphasize its safety. And just to show you what is inside of these seeds, the composition, the benefits. A lot of pharmaceutical companies and vitamin companies, this is what they use. They use Mother Nature to mimic the combination of fats, minerals, vitamins, and even amino acids. What sort of combination should we put in our pills with preservatives for people to take? And here it is. It's naturally within the seed that the seed contains all of these nutrients in right ratio. All of the seeds are very important in that. So I think I've shown you the nutritional benefit that's contained in seeds. So when somebody asks you why seeds, I hope you can answer that question now. All right. Can the world benefit from seed nutrition? Are there any benefits? There was a benefit way before there were a lot of doctors and hospitals. Clearly it was beneficial in ancient times. Is there any benefit today? So we look today, cardiovascular diseases is still the leading cause of death. And this is just from world data. You can actually look this up. 2019 showing cardiovascular disease killed 18 million people on planet Earth. And so think about that. The 2-year mortality for COVID is somewhere around maybe 7, 8 million. So imagine that this is a pandemic in itself, an epidemic in itself. Cancers, most common cancer is lung cancer on planet Earth. So again, 10 million people die from cancers. We look at that combined, it's pretty much a big problem. So I hope you're able to learn from this that we have an impact. You can have an impact on actually helping millions of lives, not just your own family like myself. When we look at the risk factor, why those patients died, high blood pressure tops it all. And so high blood pressure coming from a lot of sources, we'll talk about that later. High blood sugar, which is equivalent to diabetes. Obesity, again, we said that this is a rising pandemic. You can see here, which is very concerning, is that there are some dietary risk factors, things like low in whole grains, low in fruits, even low in seeds, low in vegetables. So those are things that are omitted from the diet that actually impacts your risk factor. And look, this is from the World Health Organization 2022, a 10-fold increase in childhood and adolescent obesity in just the last 4 decades. In the last 50 years, what happened? What happened in the last 50 years? 10-fold increase in childhood obesity. That means adult, 80% of them will go on to become adult in obesity phase. All right, let's look at this review, health effects of dietary risk. This is a study looked at 195 countries. And this is 2017 data, obviously before COVID. 11 million people died in these 195 countries. And what they look at is, what is the dietary risk? Why did they die? what is the impact of diet? And again, the need for improving diet across all nations is what they actually concluded. So if we look here, and just to show you this chart on the right side, it shows all the causes for mortality, and in deep red is cardiovascular diseases, which is obviously the leading cause of death. You can see that a diet high in sodium. So sodium, salt, not good for you. So if you haven't heard that before, take heed. But look at what the omissions are. If you look at the last one here, a diet high in red meat. So eating red meat is not the problem. It's what we omit from our diet. A diet low in whole grains, a diet low in fruits. Look, a diet low in nuts and seeds, a diet low in vegetables, diet low in omega-3s. All the stuff here is really contained within seed when we go over this in detail. Low in fiber. Seeds have a lot of fiber. Polyunsaturated fats, legumes, trans fats, calcium. All of these things are contained within seeds also. The same benefits that I just showed you on that table. So it's really a problem of omission. What we leave out of our diet is as easy as what we can take into our diet. So left up to us, it's all about convenience. So some of the big tabloids, media, this is what was portrayed during just before the pandemic. Low fruits and vegetable intake may account for millions of deaths. So it's going back to our diet. Newsweek, during the pandemic, you can see toxic food is really what's killing us when they try to figure out why people have a low immune system, why they're getting this COVID, why are people dying from it. And when they look and see the risk factors of who died from COVID or who really suffered from it, most of them had 2 risk factors, more than somebody else who did not have any of those risk factors that I told you about. Let's look at foods that are, why don't we take foods that fight inflammation? And so this is where the whole push is. If you look at the list below, this is the bad stuff, refined foods, processed foods. This is what has happened in the last 50 years is an increase in all the processed foods that we're seeing that's affecting our kids. And now they make it a habit. They're almost addicted to it. We have to bring back natural foods and fruits and nuts in order to help fight this inflammation. Doctors are learning now that one of the best ways to reduce inflammation is actually in our medicine. It's not in our medicine cabinet. It's in our refrigerator, right? It's in natural sources. Why 80% of the food we eat are killing us? Americans, actually, our diet are actually killing us more than the opioid crisis. And so clearly there's tabloids, there's books written about it. So if it's good enough to eat the toxic truth about modern food, but this is not just in America. This is globally. The entire food system globally is hurting us. And this is more of a campaign to be aware of your food system, what is in your food, to present clarity on how to improve what you take in. Now, I don't want to be biased towards just the Western world. Let's look at, since rain is in most of the continents right now, but guess what? Let's look at Europe. So 50 countries in Europe, the World Health Organization region, looking at cardiovascular death, dying from cardiovascular disease. And what is the dietary risk factors? Is it, again, omission? So again, these are the countries involved, from Ukraine on top, all the way to Israel at the bottom, all of the European countries in this. And you can see in deep red here is cardiovascular death. And these are the risk factors they look at. They look at diets low in fiber, fruits, legumes, nuts and seeds. These are risk factors for diet, okay? And then when they plotted out for Western Europe, as you can see here on the top, they look at every part of Europe, Western, Central, Eastern Europe. And again, you can see that it's an omission of some of the things that we should be eating. And so it boils down to diets low in vegetables, diets low in nuts and seeds, whole grains, again, emphasizing that we have to really pay attention to putting those things in our diet because it correlates, as you can see on the left-hand bar, in red, ischemic heart disease is prevalent when your diet have a lot of these things omitted from it. And so all over Europe, it's consensusly, no matter which country you're in, it's pretty much the same. Omission of whole grains, nuts and seeds, sodium tops the list from all of these things. So this is a statement by the American Heart Association. Their statement is basically looking at not just verifying that this is something to look at, but you can see that in 2016, the word nutrigenomics, that is the effect our food is having on our genes themselves. Looking at the microbiome, how our food affects our gut, looking at the gene and environment, and looking and see if we can come up with a way, with research, of course, to prevent and treat some of these, the leading cause of death on planet Earth. And so this is where we're now in that phase. We're looking at what we call nutrigenomics, looking at the food we eat, how it affects our body, our gut health, and looking at the impact it have directly on our DNA and how does that correspond to cardiovascular diseases and all other diseases that I showed you before. So why RAIN, seed-based nutrition? Well, RAIN International, for over a decade of technology in this seed-based nutrition space. I think they're masters of the black cumin seed oil production, extraction. Number one, for me, it's extremely convenient and it's made it portable that you can actually, I have it here on my desk. I take it to work. I have it in my bag. It's so convenient to take around. It's not convenient to walk around with a bag of groceries everywhere. Global impact overall on wellness, and wellness I mean very broad sense, and global impact on communities. When we look at the adolescent food intake in the United States published by the CDC, and this is done every year, you can see here on the top as just overall that the fruit intake is 7% and vegetable intake is 2%. So we have a problem when in one of the most wealthiest countries in the world that we're not even getting better than 10% of what we should be taking. That's advocated through all the research down through the years, that it's become even a disease that we're not taking fruits and vegetables. So again, in adults, the highest range is somewhere in 13 to 14% compliant, but we're nowhere close to 100%. And so definitely this highlights the big problem when we're not taking, or we're omitting to take what we need to be healthy. And so my problem is right here in the middle, where I buy a whole canister of strawberries, and within a week it's all spoiled and rotten and I have to throw it out, right? So that convenience, I don't have that, right? I spend more money, I waste more money throwing away food that just rotten in the refrigerator, such a rapid rate. It may have a lot of chemicals on it to keep it preserved. And so this is one of the problems I face. I'm sure many of you face. But since the USDA put out this sort of table, I have used RAIN products for my kids. My kids are very accomplished, athletes in tennis. And so they're very active, and I can't afford for them to omit some of the most important benefits that we've seen from since ancient time to now, and to get these good habits in their eating and drinking is to just give it to them every day. And it helps to transition from that bad junk food into good junk food when they see how serious, and I lead by example. I take it, they take it, my parents take it also. And so basically advocating for good seed nutrition health throughout the family. Let's look at some of the ingredients. I love Pure. It's a pre and a probiotic in one. And again, this goes with what the American Heart Association is looking at, is that microbiome, our gut, and getting the right healthy bacteria inside of us. And you can see here, we talked about flaxseed and how important it is. So clearly you can see here, flaxseed, watermelon seed, pumpkin seeds, all the seeds are actually coming to you very conveniently. And these are beautiful, well-packaged sticks that are you just have to rip the top open and just mix it with some water or any drink, or you can put it in anything you want, but you get your serving of flaxseed, watermelon seed coming to your door very conveniently. So for me, convenience is king. I'm so busy in everything I do. The best protein, this is great because again, you can see all the seed power pack nutrients. I love cinnamon. You can see chia seed in there. And again, it's packed with all the nutrients. Complete. Grape seed is there, pumpkin seed is there, and we looked at those seeds and all the benefits it brings. You don't have to think about it or put it together. It's coming from seed-based nutrition. Tastes great, all the nutrition you need, all the amino acids that's already coming there. Rain Soul, again, this is the great foundational product. You can see the black cumin seed is in there, raspberry seed, all the nutrients for, again, from since ancient time brought to you 21st century. This is great, convenient. I'm excited. And then we have Core, which is not just black seed blend, the black cumin seed, but also if my kids are not getting enough greens, they're not liking their, broccoli and all that stuff, you know what? we don't want to guess it. We want to be able to say that we're giving it to them routinely and make it habitual. So that habit is just something that you just want to put on the table and just have it, and you know they're getting, you're not guessing and you're not omitting and you're not being just a statistic, later on. So I think we have, so the whole push now, functional foods, and functional foods, the definition of a functional food is a food that provides more than just food nutrients. It provides an extra nutritional value, health value, and clearly from seed nutrition, we see the many benefits starting from Aristotle days and all the way back to the 8th century BC and even before that time, clearly over the years. So now there's a journal of functional food. So rethink functional food and developing through a holistic approach is what we're seeing, and we can see all the publications increasing over the last 2 decades in functional foods. Now there's a push to put food as your medicine instead of going to pharmacy and filling up all your prescriptions for diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol. Yes, you have to do that temporarily until you get something like seed nutrition base in there or something more healthier that can give you the health benefits you need and come away from processed foods. Again, let food be thy medicine. They're not sure where this came from. They thought it came from, Hippocrates, as shown here. But clearly, food is where the system is going back to helping to live a much healthier life. And you're going to see more and more of this coming out in, I would say, in the next year or two. And you'll hear these terms used, functional foods, as its impact on health. And you can see here, looking at things like anti-cancer agents. Imagine food as anti-cancer to prevent and decrease the incidence of cancer. You can see all different foods. So you have probiotics, prebiotics, helping to alleviate things like Alzheimer's, depression, some of the things that plague our society today. So this is great to see food connected to health, which is, I'm a health expert. And these are the terms, these are the books that are written now out there that you can see, nutrigenomics and nutraceuticals, and how its impact is going to be great moving forward, and nutrient gene interactions in health and disease. So I'm pretty excited to see that nutrition and seed-based nutrition and what Rain International is doing, and I'm just so happy to be part of something huge. So in summary, seed nutrition has been the backbone of great health since ancient times. I hope I've shown that going all the way back to biblical days. The world and its food is different today compared to ancient times. And I would say just in the last 50 years with all the processed foods and, fast food restaurants, developed. And so we have been very cavalier and very, very, very casual with what is important for our health. And we need to start thinking more of what's convenient. Non-communicable diseases are the leading cause of death. Seed nutrition, I believe, has massive benefits in all organ systems, as I just showed you. It's true. It's all organ systems, multi-organ. These are some really, really powerful nutrients inside of these seeds. So seed nutrition is safe. It's been used for thousands of years, convenient, revolutionary. Rain has been leading this technology for over a decade and now in more than 35 countries and counting. So thank you all very much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Dr. Beckles. Great information. And I love that. I mean, you're grabbing all this information from these medical journals and different things that's all out there that everybody can just kind of not realize is there and don't understand what's happening, but things are happening around the world. And I love that, as you said, we've got something here that can feed the cells of our body, even the DNA. It's important what we put in, the nutrients, and it's food. We're talking about food here.
That's right. The right food.
Yeah, the right food, and as you've shared, I mean, I know we've had a couple of conversations, and as far as kind of what you do on a daily basis, I mean, how many heart transplants are typically done, in the United States per se on an annual basis?
Well, internationally, globally, about 3,000 heart transplants are done every year.
Oh, globally.
Globally, that's including United States, Canada, and other continents. And so we're part of a world organization, United Nations for Organ Sharing, and so we make policies together and everything else to take care of those sick patients. But again, there's not enough hearts to go around for a world that's going to be 8 billion people. And so 3,000 is not going to make up for it. So most people die from heart disease, as you see there from statistically. Almost 20 million people die every year of cardiovascular disease because we only have 3,000 hearts that we can give to them if they qualify for it. And so, so we have to take care of what God gave us, that one heart and one body. We have to do everything we can to gain the knowledge, seek and ye shall find, gain the knowledge like here. And people who are on this call are really on here to really learn and grasp this knowledge that our busy lives, we're so busy. We don't have time to look up this sort of data and knowledge and what's going on with this and that. But this is why this is so important, to bring that information to leaders that can then share it with the communities of how to live a healthier life and not be a statistic, and let's try and make an impact.
Oh, yeah, powerful. I mean, and as you're sharing some of those numbers and showing that, I mean, cardiovascular problems are already number one. It's the number one killer in the world, right? So, and then sharing those numbers that the world's not going the right direction. I mean, it's not like we're naturally eating more fruits and vegetables. In fact, the rising generation right now, the adults aren't doing very good, doing very well. And at the same time, you look at what's happening with the kids on some of those numbers that you shared. It's pretty scary.
It's very scary. It's a pandemic in itself, right? I mean, we're worried about 1 million people dying. We're worried about 6 million people, but we're not worried about 20 million people dying. 20 million people are dying on planet Earth from cardiovascular diseases. And we have to step up and be responsible and say, how can we help to decrease that number and decrease the cost of healthcare overall? And when we look back and see where the trend is going, this was not around 50 years ago, 100 years ago. This is all new. This is new numbers, and we're creating what we eat is what we become, unfortunately. And so, what we don't eat is also what we become. And so we have to be careful what we're not eating. What are we omitting from our diet? Something is missing that people 100 years ago used to eat and used to live fine and live healthy and didn't have to go to the doctor and take, insulin and pills and blood pressure pills and anti-cholesterol pills, and those are things that was not as prevalent as today moving forward.
Yeah. Well, and it's pretty I loved how you said that, how so many times we hear in today's society, don't eat this, don't eat that. It's all about the don'ts, but we need to be focusing more on the do's. I love that slide that you shared that showed that meat. Yeah, meat, it's not just that meat itself is bad, but what are you omitting? All these other things. Yes, we can eat healthier lifestyles, and there's nothing wrong with someone that chooses to not eat meat. But what are you eating with it, and what do you need to give your body instead of just not what you shouldn't eat?
Right. Exactly.
That's amazing. And I'm sure you're probably seeing this. I mean, through your career, are you noticing that you're dealing with younger and younger patients?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, just did open heart surgery on a patient who was 38 years old. And so, clearly in his genes, he does have a genetic component, but now looking at his lifestyles, he is a little bit on the heavy side. So he's a little bit, obese. He doesn't watch, what he eats. And so now his cardiologist put him on a strict vegan diet, like strict vegan. I mean, that is such a dramatic, I don't think he's going to be compliant. People compliance, what their values are, what their behaviors are, it really plays into all of this, right? So for me and my kids and my family, this is so simple to have a simple packet, a 2-ounce packet that can start that process in your mind and in your habits to start thinking about healthier eating, just by starting the process while you work on your more permanent habits to try and exercise more and watch what you eat more. I can tell you it's a struggle. It's not easy. It's very difficult. But by starting small, with a small step, what you guys provide, that convenience that you can simply take a drink and start that process, feeling better right away, getting into that mindset, I have to change, I have to live a healthier life. People are living to 100 years old, and we're learning more and more about them and what habits they have to get to 100. And so these are all the things that are going to be coming out in the next 3 to 4 years, I think. We're going to learn massively from these populations, from their gut.
It sounds like it's going to be a necessity. It's not one of those things that we can just ignore and think that the problem's going to go away.
Not going away, unfortunately.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, I love this information and this education. In fact, as you mentioned, we do have almost 500 people that are on this call tonight, and all different parts of the world. And we have a lot of people that really are trying to make a difference in the world, coming together and saying, how can we focus on the real miracle? And the miracle is, as we always say, is the body. The miracle is the body. I don't need to tell the body what to do. I just need to give it what it needs so it can do it. And so, we're talking about food. We're not talking about drugs. We're not talking about this or that or cure. We're talking about, let's feed our bodies and our cells the nutrients that they need so they can do what otherwise they can't.
Absolutely. And, that connection between the seed and nature, I mean, it's really remarkable when the contents of the seeds connect with our body and look at what it does, all the different, almost cure-all. It has every aspect of affecting us in a good way. Just connecting a seed, connect to nature to grow into a tree. Well, these seeds will, for thousands of years, some of these seeds were actually all used for medicines. And so we need to bring that back. And I'm so happy that you guys have taken the charge of that and bringing seed nutrition back where it needs to get to as a number one awareness, and number one on people's mind and in their diet.
That's so true. Well, I love it. Seems like at Rain, what we do is we just continually grow and grab those people that really want to make a difference, that really have a passion for helping. And I'm excited that, that's led us to you as well. And I appreciate your passion, and I'm excited. I'm fired up because I know that we're going to be able to do a lot of good together. And with all of us all around the globe, with the experience that everybody's bringing to the table, with your background and your experience and credentials and what you're seeing, I mean, you have obviously experience and knowledge that someone like myself, I've never seen. And so I love being able to team up with people that have those different skills and those different assets that we all come together and are able to do more because of that team approach.
Excellent. I mean, I teach and educate, doctors and medical students and up and rising nurses and everybody else. And so that's been my passion. So it's great to be part of something bigger, what you guys are. This is just massive, that this knowledge not just goes to the doctors and locally, but it goes now internationally. Everybody need to know about their health and how certain foods are going to impact their health, not just for this generation, but for the next generation, and starts from today. What you're going to do today, what you're going to eat today, what you're going to put into your body today. You really need to pay attention to that. These choices are very important. And this is full circle because one of your long-standing members for almost a decade, Stephen Isaac, is the one that actually brought me to you to basically see all the good work that you guys are doing. And that guy's a miracle himself. So there you go. Just a full circle.
Well, I love that. I mean, that just goes to show what would happen if we don't open our mouths and share, right? Everybody is here today because somebody was willing to share with them. Somebody was willing to say, hey, here's something that I think could help support you. Here's something that I think you should look at. And because of that, we're in as many countries that we're in, and we're all here because somebody did that. And I think that that's important for everybody listening tonight, wherever you're at, that when you have something good, when you have something that we know can add value, we can't keep it to ourselves. We can't keep our mouth shut. I mean, this is something that we should be sharing. That's the only reason any of us are here. And if we want to be 5 times bigger and 10 times bigger and make that impact, we can't keep it a secret.
But I want to add one more thing to that. I've known Stephen Isaac for many years, and I actually had to force it out of him. Like, what are you doing to keep you going? Like, you're so full of energy and all this stuff. And he always assumed that I would not be interested in anything to do with this phenomenon. But this is actually aligned with my values of health-based and seed-based, and it's always been aligned. But that never came up until I had to squeeze it out of him, literally squeeze it out of him. And once I got it out of him, I was amazed that there was a company that's actually part of this. So
Wow.
it goes both ways.
Thank you for sharing that. No, and well, we appreciate you taking time. I know how busy you are. I know that this isn't something that you're doing because you're retired. I know this isn't something you're fully engaged, fully active. Like you just did open heart surgery. You're practicing right now. I love that you're willing to take some time and do some education like this. So, you know, like I said, I'm excited. I'm trying to stay in my seat, but I'm excited to be able to lock arms and be able to go and educate more and more people around the world together. So Dr. Beckles, congratulations for all of your successes in life. Thanks for all the hard work that you put in to get to a point now where we can go out and do even more. And so just excited to be teamed up with you. Welcome to RAIN, as I said, kind of at the very beginning of the call, and we're more than excited to have you as a scientific advisory board member here at RAIN. So I know everyone's going to look forward to future trainings from you, and thanks for taking the time once again.
Feeling is mutual. Excellent. Have a good day. Take care.
You do the same. Take care,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Let's make it rain. Okay, we'll see you. Take care.
All right.